What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdown City Geekcast. My name is Steady, and with me on this episode is one of my good friends, Matty B. How's it going, sir?
I am doing amazing. I'm very excited for this week, as you know. So just hanging out.
It's a very exciting week because. Just kidding. The Batman is releasing worldwide this week. Fan event screenings start in less than 24 hours, and reviews are already hitting social media. If you do not want to be spoiled, I highly recommend going dark after today, because anything and whatever is open, it's open season after that. You're just taking a risk. I think if you start jumping online, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. But we are here today to talk all about the Batman. Just give sort of our thoughts on the movie going into it, expectations, what we're looking forward to, and things of that nature. We want to hear from you. So if you are watching the video, jump in the chat. Let us know what you're most looking forward to. If you've already seen spoilers, leave them. Don't post them. We don't want to hear about it. If you want to tease them, go ahead. But seriously, don't post them. But we want to hear what you guys are mostly excited for regarding the Batman. Is it the cast? Is it the director? Is it expectations? Is it the villain? Let us know exactly what you're most looking forward to. Matt, I'm gonna start with you, man. The Batman drops this week. You and I have sort of been talking about it on and off, and just discussing how excited we are. What is really the most interesting or exciting aspect of the film that you're looking forward to? Is it the cast? Is it the story? Is it that we have, the Riddler as a villain who's a little bit more along the way, the side of maybe the Arkham games Riddler, as opposed to Jim Carrey? Like, what is it that you are like most ready for about this movie?
I would say the exploring the detective side of Batman, something the animated series did incredibly well. The Batman animated series and some of those films, like The Mask of the Phantasm, I believe, is
Yep,
I mean, just the way they explored certain areas of Bruce Wayne. I'm excited. I think that's going to happen in more noir style film. Like those were kind of based in that same genre, and then also the Zodiac nature of the Riddler. I've heard from most of the things that I've heard. I didn't want to get any spoilers, but it sounds as if this is going to be a moment scary. I like that. I don't want the campy
absolutely.
nature of Batman. I'm excited for Pattinson haters to get what's coming to them. It's Pattinson's going to do an incredible job, I believe. I'm just excited to prove everyone and every Batman fan group, and you know who you are, that this guy can play this role, and that's what I really want to get to.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's no question, none whatsoever, that Robert Pattinson can act his ass off. If all you
Yeah,
have to measure it is the Twilight films or the 5 minutes he played in the Harry Potter series, you're doing yourself a disservice. I highly recommend, before watching the Batman, you go watch a movie called Good Time. Good
mhm.
Time is Robert Pattinson in a role you wouldn't expect. He's somewhat of an addict, drug dealer type. He's real sketchy, gets into a lot of trouble. It's sort of like just an individual going through like the worst day of his life, and it it just blew my mind that he had this amount of range. Good Time, look it up, check it out. I am equally as excited to see Robert Pattinson play Bruce Wayne or Batman. I'm mostly excited about seeing what Matt Reeves put together. Director Matt Reeves. I've
Mhm.
been a huge fan of Matt Reeves since Cloverfield. I
Yeah.
don't know if you're a big Cloverfield fan.
It's an amazing movie. Oh my
It's
god.
an incredible movie.
Woo!
And I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot shaky cam moving and all
But
that
those
good stuff.
John Goodman scenes, I mean, if you could pull
He
that out of John Goodman, then guess what he could pull out of Robert Pattinson. I'm telling you, he's good. It's going to be good.
You're not lying. Like he made John Goodman into like this really sinister villain
America's
type
sweetheart.
character.
America's sweetheart.
What is he gonna do with a guy like Paul Dano, a guy at the top of his
Oh my
game? Paul
gosh.
Dano, but the original Cloverfield, Matt Reeves directed, and it blew my mind. I was a part of the guerrilla marketing campaign. They put together this really extensive, complex online marketing campaign,
hmm
and the fans just soaked it all up. But we went crazy for it. But the movie itself, well directed, well cast, well thought out. Every single angle of the camera had to be thought out, and Matt Reeves was just a master at his craft already. So I can't wait to see what he can do with a story and characters like this in the DC universe. Yeah.
I totally agree, and I keep and I don't want to keep bringing it up, but it's the Zodiac killer
Yes. Yes.
attitude about the Riddler's character that I keep hearing about. I love that stuff because I don't know if you remember the Zodiac movie. I think it was like Jake
I
Gyllenhaal
I've seen at least
and
3 Zodiac movies.
yeah, what's the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and
That's called
maybe
Zodiac.
Russell Crowe? It was Russell Crowe in that or no?
Robert Downey
No,
Jr.
Robert. Yeah, it was exactly right. It was Robert Downey Jr. And I watched that specifically. Um, I mean, the detectives in that movie were trying to figure it out, and I was so captivated that entire movie. So if there's elements of that where Batman is the detective here, and he's literally trying to figure out somebody who's trying to sabotage him in the Zodiac movie, those detectives they weren't exactly coming after the detectives; they were coming after public figures or whatever. But in this one, it seems like he has a vendetta against Bruce Wayne. There's something against Bruce Wayne that he has a problem with. And Bruce Wayne seems like a very emo character. Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. But he
That's
seems
not a
like a
bad thing at all.
very broody character. And I'm excited to see his detective. I can't remember. There was a little bit of that with the Keaton movies. Him and Alfred maybe trying to figure something out here and there. Um, Christopher Nolan's Batman didn't have much detectiveness at all. It's like Batman just already had the answers, or we were already in a scene where it's like you just assumed that he figured it out. I'm really
He
excited to
did he did
explore.
he did some work. They tried, especially with the Dark Knight, like thumbprints and putting together bullet fragments and piecing them all back.
Yeah, it was
Like
a little bit, but
there
it
was
wasn't like
some of
him
that, but it
sitting at a
wasn't
desk
extensive at all.
trying to figure it out.
No, not at all.
We got
Not
the
like that
answer when he
whatsoever.
had it. We didn't see him trying to find the answer.
Right. You're right. You're right about that. And I will also piggyback off of that. I am very excited to see this Batman at this stage of his career. We've seen Batman starting out, Christian
Yeah.
Bale. We've seen Batman in his prime, Michael Keaton. We've seen Batman past his prime, Ben Affleck. And this Batman is somewhere between stage 1 but between getting started and his prime. He's still learning the ropes.
hmm
He's still young. He's way too emotional. He's very vengeful, and all of these things are going to lead to him making a lot of mistakes. But he's going to learn from that. He's going to learn. Um, he's going to have a lot of mental struggles dealing with the Riddler. He's going to be 2 steps behind. There's going to be a struggle there because he's still really early in his career, but he's not starting out. We see the relationship with Gordon. He has a relationship with the Gotham Police Department. Esteban from Argentina. What's going on, sir? We love Argentina.
Worldwide.
We absolutely love Argentina. Mainly because Manu Ginobili, who won us many titles in San Antonio, is from there. So Esteban, hello, sir. Welcome to you. Let us know what your expectations are for the Batman. But like I was saying, it's great to see this Batman in that stage, not
Yeah.
starting out, not in his prime, but we have to see him figuring things out. We have to see him getting better, being more effective, being more efficient. His suit, I think we will see some transitions in the suit. But if we don't get it all in this movie, we will definitely see it, obviously, over the span of a few movies, seeing him actually make the upgrades, getting better at it, getting faster. But he's so young and so emotional. He is bound to make many mistakes in this movie. And it's going to be really interesting to see how he reacts, how he adapts to all these situations. Riddler's going to Riddler's going to mind screw with him throughout this entire movie. Just like you mentioned the Zodiac. I fully see that in this. I absolutely love the Zodiac movies. I kind of love the Zodiac story altogether. But yeah, I can't wait to see all that on the screen.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. And what another thing that I want to make sure that happens, excuse me, I have to discipline my dog. Stanley, can you stop making noise, please? Thank you. One thing that I would like to see in this movie is to make sure that they don't marry Sue Batman. We had some
No,
problems with this in Star Wars. We had some problems with this. Even I've heard of Ghostbusters Afterlife, where several movies that we watch and enjoy, where he just sort of knows things and we don't know why he knows things. Batman Begins did a really good job of kind of mixing in story to make sure that we knew that he was getting proper training, why he
yeah,
knew how to do this. When you look at the Batman fighting in some of these scenes, I just hope there's some justification as to why he knows how to do these things. I mean, the crunch you hear on, even in the trailers every time he hits something. I love that from Matt Reeves. I
yeah.
mean, like when Batman makes a punch, there's a crunching noise. It's very specific because I've watched a few of the trailers. I just want to know, how did he learn how to do this? So hopefully they provide a little bit of story into that, so they don't just marry Sue Robert Pattinson into just this guy who knows how to kick ass and he's rich.
Do you like that part though? Because I feel like actually talked about this earlier with a friend of mine. Christopher Nolan's films, the one word that comes out is grounded. It was a very grounded story,
Mm.
and Christopher Nolan had to give us an answer for like everything. His belt came from this spelunking harness.
Yeah, that was too much.
Uh, it's like
Yeah.
I don't need answers for like every single thing, but yeah, you can tell us where like some of the main um attributes come from. Like
Where did he learn martial arts?
if he knows multiple
Where did he?
languages, like where did that come from? Things like
You
that.
know, how does he know how to just whip ass immediately? Your emotions can't just deliver this all. I don't want, again, I just watched Batman Begins yesterday. Actually, this is funny. And so he's going to Fox often for hey, I'm gonna do some spelunking, sort of cheeky and kind of lame, honestly, like the joke of like, I'm need this, and Fox coming back to him like, oh well, I'm just not gonna look at this, and so all of a sudden he just has everything that he needs. I hated that about that movie, and
Yeah,
I don't need an answer for everything, but I would like to see a little bit of progression or practice from Pattinson as
yeah,
to how he learned how to do these things. How did you learn how to drive like that? Your will and ambition alone will not get you there. You must have had some sort of training, or at least bring
absolutely,
us up to speed early enough in the movie to where what he's doing makes sense.
absolutely. And I also think that along those lines, maybe where he came up a little bit with the idea for the Batmobile, and we're gonna see what it does, how it works in action, which I feel like I'm gonna be really blown away by. But I also too think that we're gonna see a gradual. evolution of the bat suit, of the Batmobile, and like 2 3 movies down the line, they're going to look completely different, but we're going to know where that original concept came from. And I feel like we're going to see a Batman who gets better at doing what he does and being more effective with his tools, being more efficient with his fighting skills. And I just think that it's a different take. It's not like new movie, new suit. I think we see one suit and we see a progression of it over time. I hope we see a little bit of progression in this movie, but regardless, I'm just excited that this is a different type of Batman.
I hope he's a
Um,
motorhead. I hope he's a motorhead. Um, well, one reason being, and thank you to Esteban again. We love Batman too. Thank you, brother. Uh,
Ole, 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 ole.
but Batman is a motorhead, and one of my favorite scenes actually. And some people like they hate Batman movies. I don't know why, because I'm in so many of these Facebook groups that like it gets so toxic after a while. But
Yeah,
there isn't a bad Batman movie to me. I like everything that has to do with Batman.
yeah.
But in Batman Forever, when Dick Grayson comes by and it's Chris O'Donnell, and Val Kilmer's in there, and they're talking about motorcycles, and he's like kind of pointing out some of the cars and motorcycles that he has there in the garage. Bruce Wayne is a motorhead. Bruce Wayne likes cars. He likes ingenuity. He likes these things.
Yes,
I'd love to
yes.
see. I'd love to see that from why he picks this sort of like muscle car looking thing. I like exploring that more because it's one of my favorite scenes from Batman Forever is that motorcycle, him going through the garage sort of thing, trying to
Absolutely.
recruit Robin.
Absolutely. Esteban says his favorite Batman is Keaton, and that was one from his childhood. He's 44. I too grew up watching Keaton. Matt, I'm sure you did as well.
Yeah,
That
Keaton was my
was
first Batman.
Yeah, that was my first experience. I was a little younger than you, Esteban. I went and saw the '89 film, probably around the time I was 5, almost 6 years old, and been massive Batman fan after that. Even had full costume, full cowl. And back in those days, a full costume with a full cowl probably cost you like $30. Not anymore, but those are the good old days. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm kind
can't
of
wait to see him.
I'm spoiled as far as Batman properties go. I was born in 1990, Esteban, and so
Youngin.
like my first Batman movies I ever saw were the ones we had on VHS or yeah, that's all we had at the time, VHS, and those were the Keaton movies. And my first Batman experience was Keaton, and then in the original Batman, and then Batman Returns. But when my first cinematic experience, I think 5 or 6 when Batman Forever came out. I think it was like 95 or 96. And that was my first cinematic experience of Batman. So I actually really enjoyed Batman Forever because I was a kid. I mean, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, this is huge. Like this universe's world that they've created is crazy. And I actually like Batman Returns as well. Aside from nipples, bat suit, whatever. Um, I don't. I love all the Batmans, but I honestly have to say, in my Christmas rotation is Batman Returns. I For some
Yes.
reason I love it's in my Christmas rotation. Wow, what are we doing here, Batman? Hey, wow, you can't do that here. Just Christopher Walken. I mean, my gosh, Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, and I wanted to get to Catwoman in this
Please, please
video
do.
as well because I think that Zoe Kravitz is going to do an incredible job. She looks mighty fine, but her standard to me is that Michelle Pfeiffer, not the Halle Berry. That Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman was the Selena Kyle was insane,
That's
and I
peak.
love. Oh my gosh, and I
That's
love Halle
peak Selena
Berry.
Kyle. Yeah.
Halle Berry is actually with and I don't even have to like caution myself by saying this with my fiance. Halle Berry's a hall pass for me. So is Alicia Keys. But when we think about Catwoman, it's always Michelle Pfeiffer for me, or who was the lady that played her? Why am I blanking on this in the animated series?
I
Not
don't know
animated
who.
series, the original 1960s Batman.
Oh gosh,
Eartha Kitt.
there you go.
Eartha Kitt is also a really cool Batwoman, but for me, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. But I think I see good things from Zoe Kravitz, and apparently, you know, not to go against too many of the guys here, but it gets a little 50 Shades of Gray between Catwoman and Batman a little bit. From my understanding, what I'm hearing from the movie is that they have some pretty intense fighting but loving scenes throughout this. So I don't know how the
We
fellas are going to
expect
feel, but
nothing less. Yeah,
but
and
I
that's the way
love,
it should be.
yeah, she's got to put a heel on his shoulder and like lick him on the mouth or something.
There you go.
Cats only want love when they want love. You just have to be
Esteban
there.
also says, and Kim Basinger, which we can't forget. I mean, out of all the leading ladies, she's still up there, top two, top three,
Yeah,
as
but
far
but
as like love
but she
interests
didn't make
go.
it. Why did none of the movies bring the love interest back? The actual love
Mm,
interest. Nolan brought the character back, but Maggie Gyllenhaal for Katie Holmes. We're
you're
talking a
right.
weird switch there. They've never brought the leading lady back in a Batman movie, even if they kept the character the same.
You are
So
absolutely right.
I like Kim Basinger. I liked her dynamic more so between her and Knox in the original Batman. More like
Yes,
they were funny back and forth because he was like
Arliss.
a nerdy guy and he was hitting on her, and I thought that was really funny in the Tim Burton movies. But I never bought her and Michael Keaton together.
But she also had the best scream. You know, she's falling off multiple buildings in
Yeah,
that first movie, and she
yeah,
just has this like great scream and great reaction to everything. The Batmobile had OnStar or Alexa on it back in '89, and Batmobile's coming straight at him and
yeah,
Kim, and he goes stop, and it stops right at their feet, and she's still the reaction to like everything that he was doing, just like perfect, spot on, exactly what you need to do.
yeah.
Kim Basinger, can't forget her as a leading
Oh,
lady in these
when they're
films.
eating soup across the table from each other,
You pass the
Uh,
salt.
and Bruce is like so used to like this odd social construct that he is because he's Bruce Wayne,
Right.
and she's just trying to get more personal. There was a lot of good Kim Basinger scenes. I just wish that any leading lady who's the love interest for Batman could make it past a single film.
You know what? This might be the first, especially because Catwoman should have 9 lives, right? So let's hope that
Yeah,
pans out.
but and honestly, it makes sense. He's not gonna date somebody who is normal. Batman is not a normal person. Batman is probably a psychopath, a little bit of a sociopath, maybe, and a heavy narcissist. I mean, Batman is a very conflicted and troubled character, and he's not going to have just a normal relationship with a socialite. Um, so I think that's why he's always attracted to the Catwomans of the world.
I love that the way she moves and especially the way she fights in the trailers.
Hmm.
It's like exactly what you expect a Catwoman to move like, to fight like, to. And I know it feels like it's common sense, but I promise you it's not. Like there's still wrong ways to do this, but everything that you see, how she's always sort of like on the ground, doing a lot of kicks, a lot of turns, a lot of twists.
B boy.
There you go. It's a lot of almost capoeira type style, but not
Yeah.
exactly. But it should be along those lines because that's what you would expect a Catwoman straight off the pages of a comic book to act and to fight like. So I like what I've seen so far, and she's also something I'm looking forward to watching in this movie. I'm also looking forward to. We've already talked about him a little bit. The Riddler, Paul Dano. Because of what you said, but also because I've been a big Paul Dano fan, and people are just kind of meeting him for the first time. This is his first big blockbuster movie, but I I first saw Paul Dano in The Girl Next Door. And it was a very different role for Paul Dano in The Girl
Yeah.
Next Door. And if you haven't seen it, it's again one of my favorite all time comedies, and it's such a great film. And he went on to do bigger things like There Will Be Blood. And so he's always been an incredible actor. And I feel like when I heard he was going to be the Riddler, I was just like, oh my god, that's perfect. Like it was just like an epiphany hit. Like this guy can totally pull this off. I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be great. What are you thinking about Jeffrey Wright as Gordon?
I love it. I think it's a great, especially film noir style. He's going to kill it in the little like slightly overgrown beard. Looks sort of rugged experience, but also willing to take help, which is Gordon's character the way it should be. I I'm really excited about because one of the last trailers that I saw, and sorry, no spoilers here, but I believe it
No,
was one of the last trailers. Um, was Batman sort of leaving and he punches Gordon in the face. And he does that to um, make the other cops who surround not know that they're working together. So he has to like hit Gordon. And I'm excited about that early part of their relationship. Usually it's like Gordon's so washed out and Gotham City's so corrupt that he has to take this help from Batman. I like to explore this part, which I think they're going to do of Gordon and him kind of feeling each other out a little bit, building that trust kind of earlier on in their relationship without just handing it over and saying, yeah, I'm going to help you and all of this. So I think that this movie is going to set that up from what I've seen.
I think so too. And I'm again another big fan of Jeffrey Wright. I've been watching Westworld since the beginning, and he's an incredible actor on that show. And again, it was sort of just like a epiphany, like wow, Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. That sounds like a match made in heaven. And I there's not a whole lot of gentlemen actors that today that I kind of put in that role, and he just seems to fit the mold perfectly. And I'm eager to see what their relationship is like because it again, this is an established Batman, right? Like this relationship is already established.
Mhm.
So there will be a little bit more cooperation there at times. But like you mentioned, there's still a little bit of a deception, right? They need to hide sort of the extent of their relationship a little bit. But see the two of them working together, I really can't wait to see what that looks like.
Yeah, and how the politics are. We've had a lot of different types of politics in Batman movies. The '80s movies were, in a kind of pushed in a certain direction. We definitely saw politics in the Nolan films. We did see a lot of politics in the Forever Returns, but we definitely saw politics in the Tim Burton films, and we saw politics in the Nolan films, um, and a little bit actually in some of the later, like the Affleck movies. The DCEU explored that a little bit. Um, but I think that the politics might play a little heavy here. I'd actually like to see what someone who hasn't been highlighted yet is, and we always see in Batman movies, is whoever it is that they decide is in ahead of Gordon, whether that's the
Oh,
mayor or the police chief.
yeah.
Is Gordon the police chief? Probably not at this stage. He's probably maybe a detective himself, um, or a captain maybe, but definitely not the police chief. So I'd like to see how the politics of how the police department plays because that's a huge part of Batman, um, is how the police department decides to interact with Batman, what the politics are of Batman in the town. Is he getting negative press? Is he getting positive press? How are the politicians going to respond to that? Which puts pressure on Gordon in a particular way that he has to interact with Batman in a particular way. I think from us seeing Batman punching him in that trailer, we see um, uh, the politics around him, which may be influenced by the Penguin, right? Because he's,
Right.
um, but I see the politics kind of being very anti-Batman in Gotham, which is always, kind of a trope of Batman. So I hope they kind of deal with it in a regular way.
Absolutely. Can't wait. Can't wait to see it. We haven't talked a whole lot about Colin Farrell as a Penguin. Like he
No.
kind of gets pushed to the side a little bit because we're so focused on all these other characters, but the Penguin is going to be a force to be reckoned with. You know, a formidable opponent to Bruce Wayne, and he seems to have a lot of screen time based on all the scenes we see in the trailer, all the things that he's doing. Are you excited for Colin Farrell? I'm a huge Colin Farrell fan. I feel like he was like at one point the hottest actor in Hollywood for a while there,
Mhm.
and so it's great to see him kind of getting out there into another big blockbuster.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about Colin Farrell. I see him sort of um, maybe reluctantly working with the Riddler, kind of like the underground mob worked with reluctantly with the Joker when in the Dark Knight. You remember that? Like they worked with him, they helped him, like, and but it was just like, we're kind of forced to do this, or our hand is pushed. I see the Penguin kind of being in a role similar to that, where maybe he's like the Falcone of these movies, and he's kind of the crime boss and the lord of the land, and he has to reluctantly help the Joker because they have a common enemy, which is the Batman.
Right.
But I'm excited to see what he pulls out. I honestly see his character probably bringing a little bit of levity, um, sort of like a Tony Soprano type character, where he's a vicious motherfucker, but I mean he's funny and you love him.
I like that.
I see him playing like that type of character. I'm very excited to see it. I mean, he's already been DCEU, right? He was Daredevil.
Colin Farrell played Bullseye in the Daredevil
Bullseye,
movie.
that's what it was.
I never miss. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So he's already been in the. I think he's kind of. I would assume that he's read up a little bit of the material, and I think he's going to have a very fun character for us to present. But I think he's going to add a little bit of levity. The anti-hero. You don't like him, but it makes you want to go see the second movie. I think that he's going to set up the Riddler, and then the Riddler gets foiled by the Batman, but somehow the Penguin escapes, and maybe that sets up the villain for the second film or whatever it might be.
I kind of feel a little different. I feel like well, I think you don't mean literally setting him up for the Riddler, but I feel like the Riddler from start to finish is going to be two steps ahead of this Bruce Wayne. Going to be pulling the strings from the shadows, just Zodiac like you kept saying at the beginning of the show,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a mental struggle and obstacle for Bruce Wayne to overcome, and I love that. I love that part about it. That it's a very different, it's a visceral type villain, and we've not seen that before. Like they kind of tried it with Jim Carrey as a Riddler, but it's not going to be on this level. This level is going to be different. Very much so like the Arkham games. Very much so like different comic arcs, different episode arcs in the Batman animated series. Like this is going to be like nothing we've seen before. I
Do you
guess
think
you
it's
could
gonna be?
say,
Do you think it's gonna be more than like Ra's al Ghul and Bane? So like,
yeah, yeah, I
because they were
do.
visceral characters too.
Bane,
Um,
but Bane also was very a very physical character. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he could
for
back it up
sure.
with
But I
that.
mean, he was he was
But
a small man.
everything that he attacked, everything that he stole, everything that tried to he tried to tear down Bruce Wayne from the inside out and succeeded in that regard, and I love that. But this Riddler is going to be more like not trying to defeat him right away. You know what I mean? He's playing
Mhm.
with his food. He's he's preying on Batman, which
Yeah,
we've not
which
seen.
something that Ra's al Ghul didn't do either. Ra's al Ghul is a visceral character, you know, and throughout the movies, and that the character changed throughout the movies too. We didn't know who actually Ra's al Ghul was as we went, but he was always a couple steps ahead of Batman. But you're right, he didn't. The goal of the League of Shadows was not to play with your food; it's to eliminate and eviscerate and end completely. No time to play. I To see Robert Dano play with a very tortured Robert Pattinson is going to be a very fun movie to
Yeah,
watch.
absolutely, absolutely. And Matt Reeves, I think I talked about him a little bit earlier, but I'll say it again. He is such a fantastic storyteller. He directed the last two Planet of the Apes films, and I did not think I could care so much about talking apes as I did in those movies, and I credit all that to Matt Reeves. I think he's just such a talented guy. Um, I've been a huge fan of his since Cloverfield, and I cannot wait to see what he does with these characters. Every single detail I feel like is something Matt Reeves thinks about. If it doesn't have a purpose, if it doesn't have value, if it doesn't help the story in any way, he's not doing it. I think he thinks out everything. He's a very detailed, oriented type of guy. And if you haven't figured that out from his many interviews regarding the Batman character, I highly suggest you go listen to what he has to say, because it is very important that we understand the director's point of view for this movie. Do yourself a favor, everybody watching, when you go see this movie, forget any thought you had about what you expect Batman to look, act, sound, or fight like. Just go in with an open mind. You've seen 10 other Batmans already, both in animated or live action form. This is just one you need to absorb for what it is. And I think if you go in like that, you're going to be happily surprised. Again, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. Hopefully, we'll
a
plan on seeing it
bladder
very
a
soon.
bladder testing 3 hours.
I'm all good with that. I'm fine. I watched the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings. I did a
The
Star
Snyder
Wars
cut. Did you do the Snyder
marathon.
cut?
No, they didn't put it in theaters.
Yeah,
I did watch it at home, but they did not put it in theaters, and that was a travesty. They really should have.
it's a bladder
Uh,
testing 3 hours. I got to
it
be honest.
absolutely is.
I I don't like 3 hour movies. I when I'm sitting at my house, I can watch the Lord of the Rings series front to back. I can watch Harry Potter front to back.
There you go.
Um, I can watch it all. I don't care when I'm at home. Something about being in the theater. I have like a 2 hour and 15 minute sort of attitude about it. I have 3 hours is a long freaking time. I don't love that, but I think that every scene in this movie has to be so beautiful. Every scene in this movie has to be important for them to leave it at that runtime. I mean, it's not a 2022 runtime. I mean, three
Right.
hours. It's just not. So this movie has to push barriers. It has to make people think. I know we talked about the IGN review, which we both know can be different, but a 10 on anything um, is huge.
Right.
I would say a 10, even if we say that IGN is skewed a little bit, that means we're probably, I mean, what's the margin of error? What are we at, an 8.5?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, I think it's going to be incredible. I encourage everyone to get your tickets, pre-order, go do it, support it. If you're in San Antonio, I know that the Batman of San Antonio is with is he with
Evo.
Santico Evo Theaters,
He's with
and
Evo. Yeah.
so yeah, so get a picture with the Batman of San Antonio out there, support him, and everything that he's doing, and just go check it out. I think we're all going to come back. I'd love to do a follow up to this where we just sort of piss our pants and talk about how great it is. I think it's going to be really, really good. I have all the confidence in the world of Matt Reeves, and all the confidence in the world of Robert Pattinson, and I think it's going to go well.
I think what I'm most honestly excited about is that Matt Reeves is creating a universe where the Batman is a little grounded, but he also feels like he's in a world that can expand. Like if we start to see superheroes, if we start to see supervillains, those are all possibilities.
Hmm.
I got asked earlier, like, what do you think about the Chris Nolan films? I'm like, I love them for what they were, but uh, it was a very grounded universe where Bane didn't have venom coursing through his veins. The Joker didn't fall into a vat of acid and come out with pale skin
Yeah.
and an instant
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this isn't this isn't exactly like the comics, but
It's
Chris
not
Nolan
campy. Yeah.
created, well, not even campy though. Like uh Nicholson falling into acid and coming out with a smile, like that's not campy to me, but that is comic accurate. I want a happy medium. I want something where, like, sure, Batman needs to be kind of a regular guy putting on a suit, but I also want to see these villains eventually. I want to see Mr. Freeze. I want to see Clayface. And I need it. I need there to be a universe where those guys are possibilities, where we have the potential to see those guys. Matt Reeves is he's building a universe where you can get those things. It's not full camp. It's not grounded. It's a happy medium. We're going right down the middle, and that's, I think, what is most exciting. Like, we're going to get the best of both worlds, and
I think it's going to be.
so
I think people are going to leave the theater. Um,
jaw on the
shook.
floor.
Honestly, when I think, like, I've left some good movies, and there's been a lot of chatter when you leave. Chatter about this, chatter about this. A lot of people talking. That's when you know you've been to a good movie. Is when you hear that. When you've been to a great movie, it's dead silent
Oh yeah,
from the time that you get out of your seat until you like go pee. Like you like wait. You're waiting for your girlfriend to come out of the bathroom, but like you're still sitting there, kind of thinking about what just happened. And I think this is going to be that type of movie where there's a lot of applause at certain points, but I think once it cuts, it's going to be that sort of silent theater, which isn't a bad thing. It's like a what did we just go through?
absolutely, an experience.
Yeah, like whoa.
That's what this should be, and I'm really excited about that. Esteban, who we've been chatting with from Argentina,
Number one
he's
fan, Esteban.
I hope you get a chance to see it soon, brother. I don't know if you're still on the chat or not, but he does say that he's sort of battling an illness right now. So
Mhm.
I hope you get well very soon, Esteban. Be safe out there, and I hope let us know what you thought about it, man. You're a huge Batman fan. You've already mentioned, so let us know what you thought about it. And getting a lot of Batmen this year. Pattinson this week. Keaton is making his
Batgirl
return.
and Flash, right?
Batgirl and Flash, and then we will be seeing Affleck on his bat cycle, in his bat outfit, bat suit one more time. Hopefully, it's not his last, and I do mean that. I think that
Batfleck.
there's still
I
more to
mean,
tell from him.
Batfleck. I mean, what incredible, and that's why in all these fan forums, and I just want to look at everybody in the freaking eye right now. I had never seen hate for a Batman character because the internet wasn't the same as it is when Batman Returns came out. So we don't have that reference. When
Right.
Ben Affleck got cast as Batman for Batman versus Superman and that extended DC universe, the amount of hate that was put into the chat about this fucking man. And now it's the opposite. Now it's Batfleck forever, Snyderverse, Batman is. And I just want everyone who understands the Batman universe to see that, and then also look at what you're looking at with Pattinson, please, and realize that you may have underestimated how impactful this character can be in these movies. Like everyone was bitching
Absolutely.
that Affleck got cast. Oh God, Loverboy, what is it going to be, a rom com? No, he played an incredible Bruce Wayne, an incredible Batman, and one that we'll cherish forever.
The genie
And
jokes were out there. The Daredevil jokes were out there. Yeah, you're not wrong.
it was insane, and now he's the most beloved character. It's like, my gosh, give this guy Pattinson a freaking break. He's not a twinkling vampire. Okay, he's a
Yeah,
very broody and emotional actor who's going to do an incredible job with a noir film.
absolutely.
Anyways,
Absolutely.
off my soapbox.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. Um,
You know how these
Noir.
fandoms get.
Absolutely. We both know. Yes. uh, Noir.
Yeah.
This will definitely have that tone from start to finish, and it's going to make it interesting. Also, I'm loving the music already. I don't know if you're listening to
I
any of
listened to
the
the
soundtrack.
soundtrack. Yeah, I did.
Yes,
Yeah, I liked
I'm
it.
loving what they're doing with it. It's so different, I think, than anything we've heard before.
Do you
It's there's
remember
a
kind of how The Watchmen was with the
oh yes,
narration? So
yes,
The Watchmen is very noir.
very
Um, and I would love a little bit of that. And I wonder, and if it's a noir film for sure, there's going to be over narration.
yeah.
And I wonder who gets who has the most time in narration. Is it going to be an Alfred? Is it going to be a Gordon? Is it going to be a Batman? Is it going to be
Who knows? I have no idea.
I
You
mean,
know, you
get some
just mentioned
overlay.
you just mentioned Alfred, Andy Serkis. Like I've met personally. Andy Serkis. I met him at San Diego Comic Con
Hell
once.
yeah.
Yeah, fantastic guy. Actually, my son, who was 10, maybe 11 at the time, Andy
And he's driving
Serkis,
now, folks. By the way,
and
he's
now he's.
driving now.
How did you know? You saw him on the road today? Andy Serkis, who I will never say anything bad about the guy, which you can't, but
Yeah.
he actually um, did a demonstration of his Gollum voice for my son at San Diego Comic Con. So yeah, it was fantastic. I can't wait to see him as Alfred, and I feel like this Alfred will have the most to do, maybe outside of Michael Caine, who was more of that parental figure. The original Alfred, not so much. Um, I wow, Jeremy Irons was more like a partner in crime, if you will, no pun
Mhm.
intended. But a partner in crime with Ben Affleck, and this Affleck, sorry, this Alfred feels like he has more to do, but it's a different angle. It's
Well,
gonna be
he's probably still caught. He's probably still looking at Bruce as a little boy. I wouldn't be surprised if there's parts of this movie where Robert Pattinson it like looks at him and just says, "Hey, like I'm not a little kid anymore. Stop trying to dad me around." He might even get pissed off at Alfred at some
yeah,
point. He seems like that type of character in this movie where he has that angst. Um, but Alfred is huge. Like his role is huge in every Batman series, whether he's a father figure, the uncle figure, the butler, the sidekick, whatever it might be. Alfred has. I mean, I'm very excited to see that relationship. It almost brings tears to my eyes thinking about it. Um,
yes,
when I think about the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Alfred, I mean, I really I want a little bit of shine on that, but I'm glad there's not. So we can just find it in the movie and just be like, ah, yes. But I have
yeah.
daddy issues, so
Oh man, okay. Don't know where to go with that. Ah! Transitioning to something new. What's it called? I'm excited for what we don't know about this movie.
Mhm.
The thing that Matt Reeves has to do is compete with one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, nine live action Batman movies. Not counting Adam West. If we did, that'd be 10. So 9 or 10 live action Batman iterations, he has to compete with that. And so
I
he's
want
going
this
to
to
have
be.
to come all out with something new that we've never seen before.
I want graphic novel.
That's what I'm excited about.
I want graphic novel.
Yeah.
I want 'cause some of the best Batman stories that are just not ever gonna make the screen. They're just too gritty. This is like and Nolan got close to gritty, but it was still kind of candy ass. It seems like this movie is gonna be grit. I think that it's gonna be knuckle crushing, jaw breaking. I've heard some people say that, and no spoilers again, but I've
Right.
heard that certain scenes are similar to Saw movies.
I bet, and it should be. It should be. If
Yeah.
it's not Riddler doing that, it's Joker doing that. Slade's in the chat. Slade says, "I have a theory. There'll be a post-credit scene with Bruce sitting watching television or in his cave, and he sees breaking news with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and the Joker movie took place in his head. Ooh, that would be interesting. I'm down for that. The weird thing that Warner Brothers is gonna have to prove, or maybe Matt Reeves would have to sort of prove, is the timeline, right? Because Joaquin Phoenix's Joker came out around what, the 70s. That film was sort of taking place. It
Hmm.
felt very 70s with the cars, the style, the technology, all that. And this does feel more modern. There's cell phones in this one. So this one has to be post 2000.
Yeah, I
So
don't like
like
the
how
idea
does
of
that
I don't
match
like the
up?
idea of conjoining that Joker movie and Batman. Um, I think
Oh,
that I think
unless what Slade is saying is that the Joker movie, like it all being based 4 decades ago,
yeah.
that's all just a made up thing in his head. Like never happened. Joker's
Oh,
really alive and well in this timeline. That's what he's saying.
yeah.
Boom.
Well,
Modern day
we
Joker.
see some Joker. Um,
We do.
we see some goons.
There's some. Well, I was gonna. Well, it's not spoiling
Well,
anything. The movie,
yeah, well,
nobody's seen it
it's in
yet.
the trailer, and so you see like I don't know, maybe
Right,
even
right.
10 goons with the Joker smile on.
It
So,
looks it looks very Jokerish. Yeah.
but I would like it if like they were just trying to maintain the legend of someone who's like passed away because it was decades ago. We don't know exactly what time frame this movie takes place. Is Has that been confirmed?
It's got to be post 2000s because there you do see cell phones and all that
Hmm.
technology in this movie. It's in the trailer, so
I
it's
like the
got to
idea of
be
like
that.
there's the lingering effect of the Joker presence in Gotham, um, because he would have been decades ago, but he was such a legend that he sort of inspired a movement. Um, I don't know. I like the Joker movie like a lot. I like the Joker movie a lot more than I thought I would because there was no Batman in it. Um, but I don't know how they're ever going to be able to conjoin those two.
Can I
It would
can I
have to be a
say
dream.
that again, I mentioned Matt Reeves doesn't do anything without a reason for it. And if you look very closely at some of the old posters and some of the old photos from the set that have been officially released, there's been some hints at other villains. There's been some hints at a Joker, and I'm not gonna try and tell you I know which one it is or tell
Hmm.
you what he's doing, but those hints are there. They're there on purpose. Does that mean we see Joker in this movie? No, but I feel like Matt Reeves is setting that foundation where all of these villains that we know, the whole rogues gallery, is definitely potential to see in the future, and I love that. I
Yeah,
love
and
that a lot.
in the animated series and in the video games, um, Batman is constantly thwarting several villains at one particular time.
Absolutely.
So I see that. What Here's a good question for you. Where do you place Catwoman?
What do you
Catwoman's a
mean?
villain. Catwoman's a villain, right? Or is she a
I
hero?
I
Catwoman's a
I I don't see her as either one. I see her as a sort of a selfish individual, but
Yeah.
she's not willing to cross a few lines.
But
Like
if
she's
you
not
had to put
willing
her
to
in
hurt.
one bubble or the other, like you have a Venn diagram, maybe on a Venn diagram, actually, she would be maybe right in that middle spot. But I mean, I've always
She's
thought of Catwoman as a little bit more of a villain. Whether not her relationship to Batman, she's a
yeah.
criminal. She robs people. She does all of these things. I think she would have to be considered a villain.
I consider her a criminal, right? Like she breaks crime. She
Yeah, but
commits
she only gets
crime,
away
she
with it
breaks
because
the
Batman
law.
thinks she's sexy. That's it. Batman thinks she's sexy, and that's she gets away with shit. Nobody else gets to rob Jules. Nobody else gets to do all these things.
She
Nobody
gets
else
to
gets to
keep
do that.
like 10% of what she steals. Yeah, definitely.
I
And he
mean,
pays for it, and then Bruce will pay for it afterwards and
yeah,
be like, "You're good."
yeah, you're fine. He'll buy the family a new house. This is what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
it's like Catwoman. I think she's a villain. So in this movie, to me, what I'm seeing so far, Catwoman's always a villain. Whether she works, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, right? Um, we already have the Riddler. We know we have Penguin. We have Catwoman. That's three to me villains so far. I think they could pack on one more, and we've seen the tease of the Joker goons. I think overloading it with that. I mean, we do have 3 hours, my own,
we have a lot of time.
but I think that would be a little too much.
Slade is expounding on his theory. If it's Phoenix's Joker and he meets Pattinson's Batman, he could say, "If I'm gonna have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice," which would be awesome. And then he says, "Joker could have been Phoenix the whole time, and everything in that movie, the Joker movie, the rated R one, never really happened because he's lying to us." I have always been, hear me out, Slade. I've always been a fan of the theory that the entire Joker movie never happened. That from the moment he was sitting in front of his therapist, maybe, or the doctor, the psychiatrist, from the moment that we see him and the very end of the movie, he says, he was thinking something, and she asked him, "What are you thinking about?" And he says, "You wouldn't get it," or something like that. A joke, but you wouldn't get it. I feel like the entire movie was just the thing that he was thinking about, but it never really happened that way. Because there were some things that were mixed, right? Like Bruce's parents were killed by the goons that were riding around the movie theater and all that. So like I feel like he's thinking up these concepts, but they're not really true. They're just fabricated in his head. It doesn't mean that he thinks they're true. He's just thinking like, "Oh, what if this would have happened this way or that would have happened that way?" Maybe he's thinking about like maybe Batman does exist already and he's thinking of a joke of like maybe he created him by accident. He created his arch nemesis. He created the Dark Knight by accident, and he's thinking to himself like, "Oh, that'd be hysterical." There's some
Yeah.
version or some form of that that actually is slightly true. Slade goes on to say it would be the biggest mic drop moment if it happened in a post credit scene because it would be confusing until Bruce gives a psychological analysis in the next movie. I'm down. I'm down for this Batman having his Joker. How you tie it to Phoenix's Joker, it's got to be ironclad, man. It's got to be done with precision and executed very well. That way, you don't have any reasonable doubt. Because, man, if you have reasonable doubt, the blog sites, the trade magazines, the fans go after it and they try and tear it apart and rip it to pieces. So I feel like Matt Reeves, he will eventually give us a Joker, and his version's just gonna be incredible. You wouldn't get it.
I love the I love there's a meme like, and I'm not a parent, you are, so I still think that's funny, so I'm sure you would too. It's like when you dump out all your toys when you're a kid and your parents ask you why. Like, this is the toddler's response. You wouldn't get it. No, I'm a big fan of that movie. I like the idea that he was such a freaking crazy psycho lunatic that he inspired most of the crime in Gotham. That he
Sure,
sort of
he was a
did this
plague.
thing, and there's several ones reiterations of him. Like maybe like the Joker doesn't die, sort of thing. He comes back like he's
Ooh,
he's reincarnated several times to bring balance to the Force. Wait, what are we talking about?
there must always be two.
But yeah, I don't know.
No,
I'm
no, no, that'd
excited.
be
I'm
dope.
excited to see it. So
Esteban says, "I remember the bad guys from before: Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger." Can I just say, Danny DeVito's Penguin is one of the most underrated villain roles in like all of comic book history. He played that perfectly. I don't think you could have asked him to do any more. Is as play that penguin. I don't think you'll get a better penguin than Danny DeVito's penguin ever. Never gonna be topped. You could
I mean,
try.
it
Never gonna
was
be
good.
topped.
I mean, I thought that movie again. Not to go back to old things we talked about, but Batman Returns. If you look
You
at
love
these
that
lists,
one.
if you look at lists that people put out, they trash it. And one thing that I do have a problem with Batman movies is they do not continue the story well. They have a very difficult time um, getting the story together. If we would have seen the same sort of themes and vibes moved into Batman Returns that we saw in the original Batman, maybe Kim Basinger coming back, maybe some things are familiar, and we see a little bit of progression of Batman. It seemed like it was like 6 months after the breakup, and Batman was just kind of doing his thing, and all of a sudden this toy store. I mean, it just none of that made any sense about how this is the sequel to that last movie. But I mean, Christopher Walken, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito. Who was Dent in that movie? Who's the guy who played Lando Calrissian?
Uh,
Lando. What's his name?
Carl Weathers is the only name that pops in my mind, and it's not Carl
It's
Weathers. I
not
know
Carl. It's
that.
not Carl Weathers. Let's look it up. It's because we can't miss this.
Nope.
And Calrissian.
Man,
Why I know this name, Billy
tip
D.
of my
Williams.
tongue. Billy D.
Hold on.
Thank you,
Come on
Slade.
now. We're
Slade's in the chat says
we're
Billy D.
we're in the Cloud City.
Isn't there I want to say there's a comic that continued the Two-Face storyline with Billy D. I need to go find it. I know it's out there somewhere. I need to go find it.
That's what we wanted, and that's why Batman Returns. I think it's hate.
You know how
We're
disappointed
supposed to
I
see
was?
we're supposed to see Billy D. Williams turn into Two Face.
You know how
Um,
disappointed I was when like we saw Michelle Pfeiffer alive at the end of Batman Returns, and then
yeah.
Batman Forever comes around, and there's no Catwoman. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell was that end scene for then?
And then Alicia
I was so
Silverstone comes
pissed
in
off.
the Batman Returns.
Hi, Uncle
Um,
Alfred. Yeah,
oh my gosh, it was the worst. But that movie, honestly, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, not bad. I liked Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. I thought that
Uma's
was,
great.
of course, she's
Uma
great.
was Uma
Wah
was great.
wah wah.
And
All right.
Bane was weird. He had the venom, but he was more like a talking Frankenstein.
Well,
Like
he was like a dog. He was,
that's all he was. Yeah, he was a
yeah, he
lap
was a
dog.
dog. Yeah, he was a pit bull. All right, Ted, what else you
Oh
got?
man, I think that's it, man. We've gone through all of this. I maybe just finally end on your expectations. Are they set really high? Are you kind of going in low and hoping to be surprised? Where might this fall? Is it going to fall in your top three comic book films or just top three Batman films? Like, what do you think this is going to land for you?
I don't know. Batman movies can hit a lot of different ways. You can get some over quick. It depends on what you're looking for from a film. Like for example, if I want to watch Batman Forever, I can get my dose of Batman pretty fucking quick, and in that amount of time, and I can get some action. It's like Batman versus Superman. I go back to the scenes that I look at often, and they're usually action packed. I think there's going to be some action packed stuff in this film. I think I need to wipe my slate clean. I think I need to etch sketch. Um, Wipe my slate clean and
Yeah,
just watch this film. I have high expectations because of everybody involved.
right.
My expectations are not so high that this will be a disappointment at any time or point ever because I will not hate a Batman movie. There's no way I'm going to leave the theater disappointed. I can't do it. I'm a Batman fan. I like Batman movies. Um, I'm going to go in and say that this is going to pleasantly surprise me. It's going to be more heady than a lot of other Batman films. I think you're going to have to think
Sure.
about it.
I hope so.
And I'm excited for that. But I'm going to go in and say my pre-score that I'm going to give it before I've seen the movie, and I'll give you a score after I've seen the movie.
All
But my
right. All right.
pre-score pre-movie is an 8.3.
Interesting. Okay.
That's where I'm coming in. I'm coming in thinking it's going to be an 8.3, but I'm thinking I might reach into that 9 tier.
I can see that. I can see that easily. Slade says he drops a little bit of trivia on us. Nicole Kidman was supposed to be Poison Ivy in Batman Forever, but Warner Brothers said no, so they changed her character to Chase Meridian. Never heard that before. That's actually quite interesting. That would have been a very different movie. Um, I don't know if that would
Chase
have been
Meridian.
improved.
Chase Meridian would have been a really good like explorer's name.
You think
Chase.
so? Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. Very good. I'm a little bit. I guess my expectations are a little bit higher than yours. I think this will be an incredible movie. This may honestly be probably my best. I would expect this to be in my top two Batman films of all time. I
What's your first?
top
What's your
three.
first then? What's your
Hold
first then?
on. Let me finish that thought. I think top three. This honestly would probably be in my top three Batman films of all time, in no apparent order. Are um man, Batman Begins. Batman Begins for
I
me
like
was
Batman
like
Begins a lot.
Batman Begins for me showed me and showed the world the potential that you had with Batman. It's like everything you thought you knew before, there's so much more. There's so we can go so much further with this character than you ever previously thought.
Hmm.
And Nolan, again, it was his universe, so like he still had to keep him grounded going forward. But Batman Begins kind of showed us the potential of what he could be. And then Batman v Superman, the extended edition, the ultimate sorry edition, I just love that one so much because Bruce Wayne really lost his mind and was forced to do things he never thought he would. And you kind of hate to see your heroes go down those roads, but it's just as equally satisfying to see them, sort of find their way out. Yeah. So this one, I think I expect it to be in my top three Batman films of all time. And
Wow.
you said 8-3. I'm kind of going in with no less than a 9 to
You're
nine
going in with
three.
no less than a 9, Ted.
Yeah, yeah,
A
and
9? I mean, a 9
I
is huge. I
have
mean, think
that
about how big
much
a 10 is. I mean, a
faith.
10 is huge.
I get it. I get it. I have no less faith in Matt Reeves than that because I've been following this guy for
Yeah.
when did Cloverfield come out? 08, I think. So long time. 14, almost 15 years I've been following Matt Reeves as a director.
Hmm.
I feel like he's super, super talented. I mean, look what he did with monkeys. Look what he did with talking monkeys for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And
And
I feel
Cloverfield was
give the
huge. And
man
for some
yes.
reason, I feel like he had a hand in another one of my favorite. He wasn't the director, but I feel like he had a hand in. Was it the Chronicle with Michael B. Jordan? Remember the Chronicle
I
where
remember it,
they
but I
found
don't
the
know if he
alien
did or
thing?
not.
He maybe he wasn't, but anyways, I do love his style of films. And I'm really excited to see this new War film. I'm excited to see it with you in the theaters. You rented out exclusively for my birthday.
Hey. That's what it was. Absolutely. Happy birthday, sir. Happy effing birthday. Let's just say nobody could top that as a present, though.
No, no, nobody can top that as a present. That's a
Never
fact.
gonna be topped.
Um,
Never.
but I love you guys, and I love you, Ted. I can't wait to see this movie. All right, so come back, comment on this video, and tell us how stupid we are after you watch it. Come back and tell us how wrong we are when
There
after
you
you watch
go.
the movie.
Slade in the chat. They need to have Emma Stone or Madeline Petch play Poison Ivy in the new movies. Madeline has done promotional stuff for DC as Poison Ivy. Ooh, did not know that. All right, I gotta look her up. I'm not really sure who that is. Emma. Oh man, I kind of see her too much as Gwen Stacy. I would
Yeah,
be interested to
I
see
do
what she
too.
could do as Poison Ivy, but man, she plays the perfect Gwen.
But
And
also, and not to be non PC here, because I'm definitely politically correct all
ooh,
the time.
all the time.
Um, Poison Ivy, I think, is supposed to be a little milfy, where she's like sort of
Older.
she's the seductress.
There you go.
She has She's an older woman who has power, not older, like not granny. I'm talking just, she's an established woman with power, and she uses her seduction over young, susceptible men is sort of her thing. Um, I would like to see. I mean, it would be interesting to kind of see a younger take on Poison Ivy. We haven't really seen that. We haven't seen a like a woman sub 30 kind of do a Poison Ivy. I'd like to see that, but I always just think of Poison Ivy as sort of like a seductress, like an older woman who is sort of established and you know has her way with what she wants.
Absolutely. What's interesting is Emma Stone was born in 88, so that makes her now 34,
Yeah, but she's so movie-fied that she's
almost
10 years.
34.
So she's one of those actresses in Hollywood that's always 10 years younger than what her age says,
That's true.
because
That's
of
fact.
where
That's
we.
fact right there.
Yeah. So she's 10 years younger than what her actual age is. So how she's going to come across on screen is going to be different.
You know what's interesting to me is that the theory, which I think there is some evidence, but the theory was that had Ben Affleck played Bruce Wayne in future movies, he would have needed a Catwoman eventually.
Hmm.
And Selena Kyle, most likely in the minds of many fans, and I think it may have been dropped by somebody close to either Zack Snyder, maybe him himself. Selena Kyle would have been played by Carla Gugino, who was in the Watchmen movie that he did.
Okay. Yeah.
And oh my god, if you would have told me Carla was going to be Catwoman one
Hmm.
day, like I would have been like, stop everything, hold the presses, like we have a
Yeah.
winner, like forget about it, drop the mic, do whatever you want. Like Carla would have murdered that role as Selena Kyle as Catwoman. She's
I
just
agree.
on another level.
I agree.
And we may we may never see that.
No.
Just kidding.
No.
All right. Matt, this has been a fantastic discussion, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna be watching this later on this
Hmm.
week. Full review coming very soon. We also have some, important stuff to maybe tell the folks out there. You and I will be with the Ghostbusters of San Antonio out doing events quite often, really. But this weekend, March 5th and March 6th, we're going to be with our proton packs and our flight suits over at the Hill Country Comic Con in the New Braunfels Civic Convention Center. That's Saturday, March 5th and 6th. If you're in the New Braunfels area, please, please, please come by and check us out at the Hill Country Comic Con. Say what's up. Take a photo with the Ecto one that's parked either inside or outside. But it's always fun to take photos with the fans of Ghostbusters. The kids, they're always thrilled to see us. You are like a showman when it comes to these type of events, and you have like all the energy in the world. I don't know where it comes from, but like you're the Energizer Bunny at these meet and greet events, and so
Hmm.
I'm excited. I hope you're excited too, man. Anything special you got planned for Hill Country Comic Con this weekend?
No, I'm hoping I can get my pack back in order. I got some things I'm working on, um, and so I hope that I can have it in full working order by that point. But either way, it's always good to set and talk down to people, or talk down to people, talk to people,
That's what we
talk.
do at these events.
Yeah, I just come set up at the booth. We'll talk down to you.
We'll berate you. We'll criticize how you look.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna be a lot of fun.
Um,
I promise.
But yeah, yeah, we'll be out there, and we'll always be out everywhere and that you can find us. It's my birthday weekend, so if you're down by the Riverwalk, if you're in San Antonio, you might see me out there too. So let's
Ooh,
hang out.
nice. Absolutely. Slade says for his birthday he actually watched the Snyder Cut in a theater, and we didn't get invites. Come on, Slade.
4
Man.
hours in a rented out theater. What did that run you, Slade?
Yeah. He might have already dropped. But appreciate the talk, Slade.
No,
Have a good night, brother. Let us know what you thought about the Batman after you check it out. Esteban, he says maybe we already discussed it, but he doesn't think that film studios should stop tinkering with comic characters and change the stories of the characters over and over again. They already ruined Transformers and Spider Man. Yeah, film studios need to get out of the way. Let the directors, let the writers, uh, you know, see their vision come to life. Slade says $75. It was a big deal, a good deal. He says that's a fantastic
that's a
deal.
fantastic deal. I spent more than that
Absolutely,
on just like regular things I have to buy, like alcohol.
bare essentials right there.
Yeah.
Appreciate the talk from Slade Esteban. Come back, send us a message on Facebook. Let us know what you guys thought about the Batman. We can't wait to see what you guys have to say about it. If you're watching this video later on, please send us your thoughts on the film. You can send us a message on Facebook by clicking that send message button, or you can always email us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowncitygeekcast.com. For the Geekcast, my name is Steady. With me on this episode to talk all about the Batman because it's finally here, the Batman release week. It's a final countdown, folks. Joining me tonight was one and only Matty B.
Matty B TV, baby. Hill Country Comic Con. If you're out, come out and support yourself, support your family, support your groups, support your community. Come out and have some damn fun. 5th and 6th, New Braunfels.
Absolutely. You can also check out the Facebook page for Hill Country Comic Con as well as the SATX Ghostbusters to find out more information about where we're going to be and how you can find us. Have a good night, folks. Happy Batman release week.